Well, US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo is in Britain to meet Prime Minister Boris Johnson. On the agenda, China, Huawei and Brexit. Ollie Barrett with the latest from London right now. Ollie, what is Britain's top priority in meeting with Mike Pompeo?
Well, there are lots of things to talk about. I think the UK would quite like, if the priority could be in these talks, to talk about UK-US trade talks and the prospect for a trade deal with the United States as Britain leaves the European Union. But Mike Pompeo is certainly coming here wanting to talk about China, and that will grab many of the headlines as well. But lots of other important matters to get to too. The coronavirus pandemic, the global response to it, the work that's being done in the UK and the US on vaccines and treatment for COVID-19. And we have just in the last couple of hours in the UK had an explosive report published on allegations of Russian interference in British political life. So that is an issue that perhaps actually both the UK and US governments would rather avoid discussing at the moment. But you can absolutely guarantee that when Dominic Raab, the UK Foreign Secretary, and Mike Pompeo, the US Secretary of State, hold a joint press conference here in London later, they will certainly be asked about Russia. They will certainly, though, also be asked about China.
And on that point about China, Ollie, both the US and Britain have bones of contention with China. How will the meeting between the two of them affect London's and Washington's relationship with China?
It's really interesting to watch the balance that the UK is trying to strike when it comes to China at the moment, and it will therefore be very interesting to watch the tone of Mike Pompeo, the US Secretary of State. We found out that he was coming to London for this visit after the UK took that step to take Huawei out of its 5G network. That was a step that it had been encouraged to take by the US. Donald Trump tried to claim credit for it afterwards, saying that he had persuaded some countries to take that step with regards to Huawei's involvement in their 5G network. So we will certainly expect to see Mike Pompeo asked about what further pressure the United States is putting on the UK to take an even tougher line against China. Boris Johnson, the British Prime Minister, has been saying repeatedly over the last couple of weeks that he is not a Sinophobe. He calls himself a Sinophile and says he wants to make sure that the UK position on China is well calibrated so that Britain can respond to issues around Hong Kong, issues around security on a case-by-case basis, while not jeopardising the entire UK-China relationship going forward, while not jeopardising all Chinese business investments into the UK. Nuclear projects are now being looked at by some hawkish Conservative MPs who do want the UK to follow the US and take a tougher line on China. So, as I say, a very difficult balance indeed that the UK government is trying to strike at the moment with regards to its relations with Beijing.
Yeah, it certainly is. Thanks for keeping an eye on it for us. Ollie Barrett speaking to us from London.